Last week we played scales C, G, and D. In this lesson, we will discuss chords, the technical names of the chords, and the chord progression for these scales. If you look here, there's two ways you can play the chord. Block style, notes all together, or broken style, broken chord, each individual note. And we'll see the difference with those as we continue. Now let's look at the chords on page 17. We played the scale last week, and now we're going to play the chord progression. Underneath, you see these Roman numerals. 1, 4, 1, 5, 7, 1. And above, you see the letter names. C, F, C, G7, C. Okay, so you will see these Roman numerals. In the early development of music theory, the Roman numerals were used. These Roman numerals here. They were used to represent the numbers of each note of the scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And don't pay any attention to these numbers because those are the fingerings. But in our present number system, we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Little by little, as you grow in your music theory knowledge, you will start to understand the full meaning of each Roman numeral used for each note of the scale. So for now, just know that some Roman numerals are capital letters or uppercase, and some are lowercase or smaller letters. And I will read this now for you. Chords in their names. The simplest chords in harmony are made up of 3 notes at intervals of a third, one on top of the other. These triads may be constructed on any tone of the scale, and each gets its name and number from the scale tone on which it is built. Let's look at the first one. The first one, number 1, tonic, the first chord of the scale, or do. Number 2, small case, supertonic, number 2 of the scale, or re. Number 3, the small letters, median, number 3 of the scale, or mi. Number 4, capital letters, subdominant, number 4 of the scale, or fa. Dominant, number 5, the 5 of the scale, or sol, capital letter. Small case letter, number 6, submediant, the 6th of the scale, or la. And here you have an interesting symbol. The small case letters with the little O at the end. The O stands for diminished, and we'll talk about that later. It's called leading tone, the 7th of the scale, or T, and number 1, the capital I. Number 1 of the scale again, or tonic. And so you know which ones are capital and which ones are small. The 1, the 4, the 5, and the 1 are capital, and those are the chords that we're going to use today. One more time. Tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading tone, tonic. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Moving on. Each chord has special parts. The bottom note is the root, the middle note is the third, and the top is the 5th. This is a 3-note chord. The same for the bottom here. It's the same chord, just lower. This is the bass clef, treble clef. Bottom note, the root, the middle note, the 3rd, and the top note, the 5th. Now let's look at a 4-note chord. The 7th chord is a 4-note chord, but to make it easier to play, we omit the 5th. And so here you have G, B, D, F. The bottom note is the root. On top of it is the 3rd. Then you have the 5th and the 7th. And here they omitted the 5th, no D. And here they moved the bottom, the G, to the very top. So now the G is on top. Okay, the root of the chord is on top. You have B, F, G. This is first inversion. This is the G7 chord that we're going to use in the C scale. Now let's look at this example below. I'm including it here because it uses the same notes as the chord progression that we will use at the end of the scales on page 17. This example is written in broken chord style. It also uses inversions. Inversions mean that the notes are rearranged in a different order, so the root is no longer on the bottom. The chord are as follow: the tonic, or the 1 chord, the subdominant, or the 4 chord. This one uses an inversion, which we will discuss in a little bit. The dominant 7th chord, or the 5-7 chord. This one uses an inversion. And then back to the tonic. Now let's look at the subdominant chord. The F is the root of the chord. It's in the middle, not on the bottom. The dominant 7th chord, the root is the G. It's on the top of the chord. So for now, instead of it being a 4-note chord, we made it into a 3-note chord because they omitted the 5th. And also for now, just know that this is a short explanation as to how the notes are rearranged. Let's play these and sing these. Do, mi, sol, mi, do. Do, fa, la, fa, do. Ti, fa, sol, fa, ti. Do, mi, sol, mi, do. And that's broken chord style so that you could see the notes that you're playing. Alrighty, wonderful. Let's move on to page 17. Back to page 17. This one is bigger. C scale, G scale, D scale. We played this last week. And so now that you know what the meaning of the 5-7 chord is, let's play it as kind of an introduction to the scale. So we're going to take this 5-7 chord, G7 chord, and play it here. We'll play this 5-7 chord and play it here. And this A7 chord and play it here. So let's try that. Let's remember the metronome. And you're going to start with 50 beats per minute. Let's start with the G7. B, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. C chord, A chord, F chord, sorry, C chord, G7, C, 2, 3, G major. We'll start with the D7 chord, F sharp, C, and D. 2, 3, 4. F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. G chord, C chord, G chord, D7, G chord, 2, 3, 4, and finally D major. We will start with the A7 chord. C sharp, G, and A. 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D. D chord, G chord, D chord, A7, D, 2, 3, 4, and stop. Thank you for practicing this lesson. I hope it helps. And now practice your solo. See you soon.